So we've completed 4 of our 9 in advertising Carol visits. We're now going to talk about how client agency media are structured and work together and go on from there. So, client, what do they have? The client is the Procter & Gamble, right? Client is the company that has the brands that wants to advertise them. They also have the money because they sell these brands and they get a lot of revenue. Procter & Gamble brands are, you'll get to see a shot of a bunch of them, but Tide, Crest, Scope, Dawn, Pampers, Oil of Olay, and on and on. They're also the ones who come up with the marketing plan for the brand. And the marketing plan involves advertising. It involves probably some kind of public relations. It involves a strategy towards retailers, whether they want to have certain discounts or promotions during the year. Do they want to change the packaging or test new packaging? I mean, lots of things in the marketing plan. Basically, the marketing plan has a revenue goal for Tide. How much is Tide going to make in total revenue? And then it needs to say how it's going to get there. If it's an increase versus the previous year, and that's usually what you want to promise your management and Wall Street, grow, grow, grow every quarter. That's what American companies need to do to have their stock price be, high and healthy. So revenue goals, and then how much are we going to sell to our current customers? How many new customers are we going to bring in? How are we going to bring them in? And that's where the advertising comes in. And that's when the advertising agency comes in. And a communication strategy. In other words, what are we going to tell our customers about the brand? And more about that later. So the ad agency comes in. The ad agency will take a basic communication strategy and turn it into a strategy for how to build a successful ad. Who are we talking to? What are we saying about the product to convince people to buy it? Those are the basic things of a copy strategy. Ad agencies have special customer knowledge. They usually have research departments that conduct focus groups mostly, maybe to get feedback on the advertising and on the brand. Agencies have expertise and talent. They have people employed there or brought in who can make a video, can make a magazine ad, can produce a radio ad, can advise on building a website, can do your social media advertising. Maybe can help you find influencers. You also have people who could plan and buy media. So they have media departments at agencies. People who can strategize. Well, here's what we know about the target customer, and here are the media that those people intersect with. They tend to read this. They tend to go to these websites. They're traveling business people, so they go to airports, and we can reach them at the airports. And then there's also people that know how to buy media, that can negotiate with the companies that own the media properties. Now, in terms of dollars, the agencies probably get the least amount of dollars in this whole thing, because a long time ago, in advertising past, agencies would get 15% of anything the client spent on media. That was a standard agency commission. And it meant that the more successful the ads were, the more the client spent on media, the more money the ad agency made. So their success financially was tied to whether the client spent money behind the ads they made. Now, they don't make anything like, most of them, 15% of the media. It's a fee-based compensation for the most part. That's been negotiated by clients looking to cut costs, and they've squeezed ad agencies very, very hard. So ad agencies normally have to take all the people who are working on the client's business, who are dedicated to the client's business, and how much are they being paid. Then they assign some sort of overhead to them in terms of how much office space do they use, what are their health insurance costs, what about the phone costs, how do we allocate phone costs to these people, and then there's a profit on top of that. So agencies more or less make kind of a fee based on how many people work on the business. Then we have the third part of the triumvirate here, which is the media company. They're the ones who get the dollars. So all those dollars spent on Super Bowl ads go to whoever's airing the Super Bowl. Agency gets a fee for making the Super Bowl ad. And what does a media company have? Well, they have original content. They distribute the content, either physically or digitally. Media people have salespeople, by the way, and the salespeople for the media company are selling the ad agencies and the clients on their media property. In other words, buy NBC, buy, XYZ prime time TV show on NBC. So they're selling their company's properties to the advertisers. They're selling the audiences, basically. Here's who you'll reach if you advertise with us. Okay, so there's the triumvirate there. Now, let's take a look at jobs and titles. Here are some typical job titles in marketing on the client side. You've got the VP Marketing or the Chief Marketing Officer. You have a VP Advertising or VP Communications. You have a Brand Manager. Brand Manager is a good job to think about, or Assistant Brand Manager maybe to start with, because the Brand Manager runs the whole business. So the Brand Manager on Tide is running all these different kinds of Tide, running the production, running the package design, running any product development they're doing, research they're doing. They're running a business, which is a great background to have as a young person coming out of school, like as you guys will be doing. So look at those assistant brand manager jobs if you can. Some clients, by the way, don't go outside for creative development and media. Some clients have what's called an in-house agency. So they hire their own people to make the ads and plan the media. That does happen sometimes too. Here's Indeed.com doing a search for brand manager within 25 miles of the Bronx. 699 jobs come up, and here's one at Uber. Brand Manager 2, Global Delivery Brand and Campaigns. So that's a job opportunity on the client side. There's an example of one. Ad agencies. Well, you've got the creative team, where you've got the design person, the art director, it used to be called. Now it's kind of a design person. And then you have a copywriter, person who does the words. That's on the creative side. You've got media planning and buying. You've got people that do research. You've got what's called account management. Now that's the business, that's what I used to do when I worked at ad agencies. I worked at 2 ad agencies coming out of business school. The account manager is the one who talks to the client. It's supposed to understand the overall marketing that the client is trying to accomplish, and then is in charge of translating what's going to be good for the client to the other people at the agency. So the account management people kind of run all the processes at the agency, and they're the ones that deal with the client. The main thing, the main KPI for anyone in account management is whether the client likes you or not. Okay, just FYI. By the way, speaking of the client side, I should have shown this before. These are the leading advertisers worldwide by ad spending. Procter & Gamble is showing up as first with $8 billion. And Unilever, you can see them. These are the biggest advertisers worldwide. But here's an example of an agency job. This is a media planning job. 871 jobs that sort of line up with the title of media planner within 25 miles of the Bronx. So most of them, of course, being in Manhattan. Here's another one, art director. And this found 782 jobs, 25 miles of the Bronx. First one here is design director at the Webster. They want familiarity with fashion, online retail, etc. Design director is going to be a pretty senior job to start with. Maybe some kind of assistant design director, maybe it is a starting job. Media companies, who do they have there? They have the editorial staff, the people that do the content for the media company. And then you've got the sales staff that I talked about before. These are the people who sell the audience, sell the properties, the content of the media company to advertisers and agencies. And there are people that support the sellers with research about the audience, all kind of in the sales area. Then you have people at the media company in charge of selling building the audience. Okay, and here's a job. There's a media sales search, 5,591 jobs. Okay, so, and then there's an entry-level inside sports advertising sales. At professional sports publications, $65,000 a year full-time. And a lot of jobs in ad sales. Okay, so what have we done? We have covered how many? 6 of our 9 visits for an advertising, Carol. We've got 3 more here, so we're getting there. Let me stop now, and we'll start with conglomerates versus boutiques.